Let's look at the question. Leroy buys a $1,200 computer. Store gives him credit using simple interest at 20% over 2 years. How much does Leroy pay for his computer? With questions like these, we're looking at the total amount paid as opposed to just interest. Even though we're using simple interest, we're going to use a slightly modified formula. So, for calculating total cost, as opposed to just interest, we have two possibilities for formulas. A equals P plus I, or A equals P plus PRT. They're the same formulas, except in the one on the left, I simply represents interest, while the one on the right spells it out. From the original equation, I equals PRT. Either one is valid. You're doing the same amount of work either way. P is still principal, R is still rate, and T is still time. So I first need to figure out what is the interest that's being charged to him over these 2 years on this purchase. Then, since that has to be paid, I add that back onto the original amount that he paid for the computer. That becomes our total cost. So I can say amounts equal to P plus PRT. My principal I know is $1,200. My rate was 20%, and my time was 2 years. So to find out my total cost, I need to figure out first the interest that Leroy accrued over this 2-year period of time. Interest meaning, in this case, what he has to pay in addition to the original value of his computer. So put in our values. 1,200 times the rate. With rate, we want to change our percentage into decimals. We never want to put a number in percent form into an equation like this for rate. Always change it to a decimal, which means I'll divide by 100, taking the decimal point and moving it 2 spaces to the left. So the rate that I actually want is 0.2. T is 2 years. The other P for principal is still my 1,200. So again, in the first part of this expression, I'm just putting in my principal as was given to me. In the second part, I'm figuring out the interest on that investment. Just the interest. So when I multiply the numbers out, I'll end up with 1,200 plus 480. So this means Leroy is going to accrue $480 worth of interest. I need to add that onto the amount he paid for the computer to get the total cost. So 1,200 plus 480 gives me $1,680.